All right. So we are going to create a shapefile. Okay. So it's either you are creating point, line, and polygon, as I said, right? So I'll go to layer, and then I'll click on create. Then we have a new shapefile layer. That's what we are going to create. The other time I've explained the different file format that we have here, right? Okay. So I'll click here, and then I'll leave it as WGS, right? But now before that, you have to browse to where you are saving this your layer. Okay, remember we saved our project where I saved it as GIS for construction, right? That is a project, but this time around we want to save the layer itself. So I'll click, and then I'll look for my folder, GIS folder, GIS folder. Okay, then I'll put it on shapefile. Then this time around, I can just call it practice one. I just call it practice one. So on your own, you can use any name that you want to use, possibly the name of the project that you are working on. But this one, I can just call it practice one. And then I click save from here. So you see it has saved. Now it's telling you where you saved this your particular file. It's been saved in my desktop GIS folder, SHP practice one. So if you want to look for this file now, you have to go through this directory. Okay. Now I've saved it here. Now the next one, we have file encoding. You leave it at this UTF-8. It's a default setting. Then we go to geometric type. Now, if you click on this arrow, this is where you determine whether you are creating a point, line, and polygon. Okay. So for this particular one now, we are creating a point. So I'll click on point. All right. Then the CRS. This is where you select your CRS, but we are working with WGS, so I'll leave it at WGS. But if you want to change it, you click on this select CRS here. Okay, and then you can unchange it. Let's assume you are working, if you are in Lagos, you can use 31. If you are in Kaduna, you can use 32. And then possibly in your state, you can change if you want to use UTM-8. But as I was explained earlier, you can use your WGS, okay, based on your construction project. You are not much about some, serious precisions like that, you understand? So, but that is just the explanation about Shasto. But we are using WGS, okay? So I'll click OK, select WGS, and then I click OK. Then here we have the name of the field, okay? The name of the field, what it means is that, for example, now you create a point, and then you want to put, for example, if you look at the point that we know, the person that picked that point has point number, and then we have longitude and latitude, right? So now for this one, now I have to create those fields. So first of all, I just create, and then let me call it point number. Let's say point number based on the fact that it's a number that we picked. Or you can just point underscore NO, right? And then now, when you we talk about point number, you are putting a number, right? Now, number is supposed to be a whole number, right? It's not going to be a text. When it text is when you are talking about, okay, maybe the name of a location, maybe the name of the client, the owner of the land. You understand? When you know that what the input or the response to that your field that you are creating is going to be alphabet, use a text. But if you know that it's going to be a number, then you use whole number. But if you know that it's going to be, possibly you are calculating an area or you are calculating length of a place or an area of a place, then you have to use decimal because it's going to have a decimal. For example, you can have like 20.000 something, you understand? So you have to have a decimal, okay? But this time around is a point number, so we cannot have 1.2. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or A, B, C, D, you understand? So now we are using point number. So I'll click on whole number, all right? Then this has to do with length. Length, like what is the length of your coverage? For example, now if you put 1, If you put just single one, if you continue with your numbering and then you get up to 10, now you know your input now is going to be more than 1, right? So now in that case, now it will not be able to enter again. You understand? The same thing when you are dealing with text, you have to put enough length so that when somebody have a very big name or very big information you're encrypting, all of them can be able to enter. So for this whole number, we can leave it as 10 because no matter how you feel it, before you reach 10, you know that is to say you have to do a lot of enough data, you understand? So after I put all those information, then I'll click add to the field list. I'll click on it and then I'll add to the field list. Then the next one, I'll put X, right? I need the X also. Then I'll go to X. X now is going to be like we are going to have a coordinate, right? It's going to calculate a coordinate for us with the X. So now with that, I will use this man. Okay, and then I can decide to use the length now to be 20 and then precision to be 3. Okay, so I'll click add to the list and then I'll put Y. I'll do the same thing. Going to be decimal, precision 20. I mean the length 20 and the precision 3. I'll click on add. So I have these 3 fields. For example, if you need maybe the location where the point is, the name of the the owner, but possibility is not a polygon, right? So you don't need to, okay, the name of the owner of the land, you don't need to put it for each of the points, right? Because you are putting points. So now if it is a polygon, you can just say, okay, the owner of the land. Point like this, possibly you are picking schools in different locations, in different places, you understand? If it is that point, if it is that, now you can now add, okay, name of school, name of the facilities, you understand? Like one of our colleagues actually asked question on that. He talk about them having facilities. So if you are picking those facilities based on points now, you can now add the name of the facility and you know that, okay, this is construction of so place in different locations. So you can feed all those information to your point, you understand? So with this, I can just click OK. So you see that I have my point here. Okay, we have a point here. So I can click my satellite image so that I on my satellite image. Now, I want to pick points. Let's assume this empty land here. I want to pick point of this particular place. So normally, even if you not pick your point with your mobile phone, as far as you know the location of your land, based on the search, based on the training or the class we have the first time where we search for location and it takes us to that particular location. If you can be able to do that, then you can actually pick your point in your system here. Possibly you need to send that point to somebody. Okay, so now how will I pick points? Now I've already created a point. So I'll click on it on my layer and then you see a pencil sign here. Okay, if you look at this pencil sign, they call it toggle edit. Okay, so I click on this toggle edit. What it means is that start editing. Okay, start editing. That is to say, start working on that layer. That is the layer practice. Now, as I click on it, I click on start editing. Now, the next item here, this is saved layer. Now, there's a difference between save project and save layer. If you save a project, you are saving the whole project. But if you save a layer, you are saving to this particular layer that we create. Now, the reason why it's not active because we have not added anything to this layer that we just create. So there's nothing for you to save, right? Okay. Now, the next one is for me to add point features. Okay, just for me to add the point now. So I'll click on the add point and then I come. If you look at the boundary of this land now, I can just pick a point here. Okay, now I pick a point. We have an ID and then I call the point number. So I can call it, okay, point 1. I just put 1 here on the point number. The X and Y coordinate is going to be generated for you by the system because you are not picking the coordinates yourself again. You understand? You know, definitely you are not the one that even with your phone, you are not the one that type the coordinates. You get your phone or the Google map that you use generate the coordinates for you. So there's no way you can input coordinates because you don't have it, right? So you can just leave it blank as far as you have put your point number and then I'll click OK. So you see, we are having points here. I don't know if you can see the point. All right. Then I'll continue. I'll go to the next point here. and then I click, and then I call it point 2, and then I click OK. And then I go to the next point here. If you want to actually pick, maybe if you want the plot to go like this, and all that. But for this, I'll just pick a straight point so that we can adjust our 4-corner plot only to avoid wasting time. So I'll click here, and then I'll call it point 3, and then I click OK, and then I go to the last place here, and then I call it point 4, and then I click OK. All right, so we have our 4 points here. All right, we have our 4 points here. All right, so now we continue. Now you look at the next, this saved button that we have here. Discover that it's now active for you to save. Now, mind you, if it's not saved, let's assume you add all these points, and then you go ahead and click on this saved, which is saved project, and you do not click on save layer. If you close this your project and then you want to add these points, this is your layer back, you will not be able to see it because you did not save it. Please take note of this, because a lot of people do that mistake. You see that you go ahead, you do a lot of work, and then at the same you discover that you did not save your layer, you only save project. So if you save only project without saving the layer, what you edit, any adjustment you did to that particular layer, you will not see it. Please take note of that. All right. So after that, I will click on save so that I'll save my layer. Okay. Now I'll continue. Then I want to create a polygon. Okay, so we need to create a polygon so that we can digitize this particular boundary or this particular site now. Possibly the construction site or a particular plot of land that you have or a particular boundary that you want to work on, right? So now we want to create a polygon. Now the same process that we do in creating the line, in creating the points, that's what we are going to use. I'll go to my layer, I'll go to create new shapefile. Okay, now the new shapefile, now browse to the location where I will save my polygon, and then I'll type the name of the polygon. Let me just call it let's say Kaduna site. Okay, let me just call it Kaduna site, and then I click save. Okay, then from there, now we talk about adding information of that particular polygon. Now in this case, now I'm not going to use point number again because we are not picking point. Sorry, before you go to the new field, from the geometric type, we have to select what? We have to select polygon. Okay. Now, if it is road that you want to digitize, or if you want to bring out the water, or you want to bring out drainages and all that, you can use lines because you follow a particular line that you are going to draw or you are going to digitize. But this one now, you are going to digitize a boundary of a particular site. So we need to actually use polygon. Okay. So now I can add name of the site. Name of the site. Or let's say, let me just use, because now one of the reasons is that based on the fact that you are creating a field, it will not take a longer character. Okay, it has a limit of character. So I will shorten it, I'll just call it site underscore n. Okay, site underscore n, that is to site name now. Now, discover that the name of our project or the name of our layer itself is Kaduna site. And then we have this one as site underscore name, right? Is site name. Now, that is to say that, okay, let's assume there are projects in Kaduna, and then you want to bring out the location of all your projects in Kaduna. So now at that point, you can just click on, you can just use the site name, and then when you digitize that particular site, now you can now write the name of the site, maybe construction site belonging to so person, or 2-bedroom project, or school project, you understand, depending on how you use it. So now from there, I'll write site name. Now, based on the fact that it's going to be name that we are writing, so I'll leave it as text, right? Text data. Now, You look at the length. Now, if you leave it at this 80 that is showing, what if you have a very long project that you need to write enough information? So let's leave it as 200. Okay, and put it as 200, and then I'll add to the list. Okay, now another thing again is you can add let's say site underscore SUP. Let's say now let's talk about who is in charge of that particular site. Okay, we have a site in Kaduna, we have a north site in Kaduna, and then this particular site is construction of 2-bedroom flats in Kaduna. Who is the project manager or the supervisor, or as a project manager now managing the whole project for your organizations, and then you are using GIS to actually monitor the project. Now, who are you assigning to this particular person, to this particular project to handle that particular project? So you can just go site underscore supervisor or site underscore manager or anything underscore M. You are the one inputting it, so you know what you are using to actually represent the particular information. Okay, so I'll click add because we leave it as text, and then 200 is still okay. I'll click and add. Now, we can also talk about which date, possibly the date that you are going to start the project. Okay, you can put the date. Now, in that case, now you use date here. Okay, you use the date and then add to the list. Maybe the date that you want to finish the project, or you can possibly add something like start date, finish date. Okay, but now it is more. It will make a lot of sense if you can be able to integrate your MS project to it. Okay, those are used MS project for project management. Okay, we can is another way that we can actually do a successful or a good presentation with that. You can integrate your MS project to it as well as a link. Okay, so now these are different ways. So you can add thousands information depending on what you want to add to that particular polygon that you want to digitize. Okay, at the same time, you can add possibly the costs or the cost of constructing that particular project, or maybe the date that you want to do your bidding, or at what stage that the project is. You can categorize it as categorize A, B, C, maybe based on your office categorization, how you categorize your project, so that it will be simpler or easy for you to actually manage your data. The whole essence of this, from the beginning of this training, I told you that we are trying to manage information. You understand? We are trying to manage information in construction industry. That is the whole essence of this training. Okay, so now you can now gather all your information. You can add more information to this polygon, and then with just a click, it will now display all the information that you input. Okay, so having said that, and then input all these into the field, I'll click OK. Then I've added my polygon. All right. So now for me to digitize the polygon now, I'll click on this polygon the same way that we did for the point. Then you click on this pencil, which is toggle editing, for you to start edit, and then I'll click on it. Now, the saved button does not have is not highlighted because you have not added any information on the polygon. Remember, we add on the point, which you have already saved. But this time around now is on the polygon, nothing, we have not added anything. So you click on the polygon, and then the next one is add polygon. Okay, remember during the point when we put the add point feature, but this one now we click on polygon. Now it tells you that you should add polygon. So I'll click on polygon, and then I'll digitize from this point to this point, then to this point, to this point. Okay, now remember, when you finish digitizing, just right click on your mouse. Okay, right click. Okay, you know we have been left clicking, right? Okay, now right click. After you finish digitizing, if you come to the end where you stop your polygon, just right click. Then it will now bring out for you to fill this information. Okay, now the site name is construction of construction of 2-bedroom. Construction of 2-bedroom, and we all know that we are working on Kaduna site, right? So a particular 2-bedroom, possibly you can write construction of 2-bedroom belonging to Mr. So person, depending on the information. So if you know you have enough 2-bedroom in a particular location, possibly in Kaduna, then you have to use belonging to so person. Now, supervisor is Mr. John. Okay, Mr. John will be in charge of this project. Okay, when are we starting the project? Now, if you look at this, based on the fact that we use date now, if you click here now, it will bring out calendar for you to check, to actually tick. So now, today's date is 1st April, right? So let's say we are starting this project on Monday, which is on 3rd, okay? So I'll click and then include that you are starting the project on 3rd. Now, maybe from the time that we create this thing, we can just indicate starting date, okay? Starting date and ending date, or starting date possibly, you understand? Because possibly based on the fact that we are not using MS Project, if you not integrate MS Project, you cannot actually estimate the ending date. So you can just say starting date, so that you give this information to your staff or your supervisors, okay, so that they know which person is in charge of this project and when are you starting the project, okay? And you know, in project management, there's something they call assign resources. Okay, if you assign resources in MS Project, that's when you do all those things, okay? I believe everybody is flowing, because this is the main thing we are doing now as far as GIS for construction professionals is concerned, okay? And now, after filling the information, I'll click OK. So now I have this particular construction here in Kaduna. Now, let's assume we have this construction of 2-bedroom here, and then this particular let's leave this way. This is refinery area in Kaduna. Okay, refineries, okay, refinery complex or refinery center in Kaduna. Okay, so now let's assume you have a project in that refinery, possibly renovation or construction of so place. You can still go ahead. You know, you have already digitized this one, right? You can still go ahead and use that the same polygon, because this polygon is talking about Kaduna sites. Do you understand? This project is talking about Kaduna project or Kaduna site. So you can have you know, a quite number of projects in Kaduna, right? So I can go ahead and digitize this one. Now I discovered that the first one I put a point just for me to show you how you can put your point and digitize with point. But when you know the location of the place and then you are not sharing the data to anybody, or you are not sending a coordinate to anybody, you don't actually need to put point. Okay, but it's only when you want to share a coordinate to somebody, then you need to put point, because you can only generate coordinate with a point. You cannot generate coordinate using a polygon. I believe you people are flowing with the class. Okay, so let me digitize this refinery. Okay, now if you look at this, there's a truncated point here, right? So I can decide to follow it to get the shape. So you see, I'm just clicking to follow that shape. All right, here there's also a small curve here. I can just this, all this is has to do with your details digitizing. Okay, you can just take it straight based on the fact that you are not doing any boundary, you are not settling boundary dispute, or you are not allocating land to somebody, you understand? Just for you, just to have a boundary and do your construction. Okay, so after that, remember, after I finish digitizing, I will click on right click, okay? Then I can just call this, the site name is Refinery Kaduna. Refinery Kaduna. And then project is Mr. Abdul. Should be the project manager, okay, or the project supervisor. And then the date which you are starting this project is supposed to start. So if you are starting this the first project on 13, now you put a lot of consideration into a lot of things to consideration based on your management approach, and then the strength of your company will determine the next date for the other project. So I can just start on the 25th of this month. Okay. All right. So refinery, possibly you are renovating. You understand? So in your field also, you can add more information. Purpose of the construction, a lot of information actually that that you add. You understand? In your all these things that we are talking about is something that we normally do with Excel sheet, right? You have all these things. If you have a project like that, you normally use Excel to actually input those informations. But this time around, you are not just using Excel. You are involved. You are inputting those information that you put in Excel. But at the same time, you have your visualization. Okay. Now I can now click OK. So I have project here also. So I can digitize as much as I could project in Kaduna. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
The ID column is not filled. Why is it so?
Yes, the ID column is not filling because it's, when we are creating this, when we are adding those fields that we add, we did not add ID, right? Remember?
Yes, sir.
Now, the ID is automatic. QGIS automatically create the ID for you in case you did not create any field at all, so that the QGIS will automatically number it for you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you. So ID is automatic from QGIS. So you can decide to remove it from when you create your own, you can remove your ID. But if you want to use the ID, you can use your ID to number your work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand? As it continues.
Yes,
so the ID, we did not impute ID. We don't have any information to add into ID. That's why I did not bother about it, right? But you can actually use it to impute.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so we are going, all right. So I have my polygon, right? Now, if you click on this polygon, and then I open attribute, there's something I call attribute information, which I showed you people the other day. You look at it, attribute, open attribute table. It's going to show us those things we digitize and then the name that we filled. So I'll click on open attribute. Then it will open. Now you are not seeing it because I did not share it. So I'll go and share it. Because immediately it open into a new window. Okay. So that's why QGIS come with different windows. So I'll open the attribute. So you are seeing the attribute table now, right?
Yes, we are seeing.
Good. So we have refinery, and the site supervisor is Mr. Abdul, and the starting date is on 25th of April. And then we have construction of 2-bedroom. Okay. And the site supervisor is Mr. John, and we are starting on 3rd of April. So now, the more you add information, or the more you digitize, the more it fills all these informations for you. As I said, you can decide to add on your ID. You can decide to add your maybe 1, then 2 as your ID. You see now, fill the ID that you're talking about, but it's not necessary or it's not compulsory for you to fill it. Okay, so any question on this? Okay, we continue. I know there's going to be some confusion, but when you watch the video by God's grace, we are going to actually get all the things that we're trying to pass along. Okay, so I'll go back to my duties. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Oh, sorry to take us back. It is on length and then precision. Remember, length. Can you hear me, sir?
I'm hearing you.
On length, you put, initially it was 20, then you later said, whether we are going to have, more than 20 feet, let's put 200.
Yes.
Then I was thinking that length refers to maybe meter or so. Then
No, it's not meter. It's not length of meter. Length is, for example, now, you see Mr. Abdul, right? You see this Mr. Abdul?
yes,
If you count, we have M, which is 1 M R A B D U L. That is 1, 2. Then there's a space between this Mr. which is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's to say it has 8 character. That's what they are trying to
okay,
tell you there. The length of your
okay,
character.
okay, sir, okay, sir.
Yes, that is the
Then
length. Yes.
then what about precision? I saw you put 1.2.
Yes. No, I not put 1.2. I put precision. Precision is, for example, now like your decimal place, like if you are calculating length now, maybe if it is 2 meter, right? Discover that possibly there's a small extension from 2 meter, which is maybe 2.5. You understand? Now,
Yes,
you
sir.
discover that if you put it 0 precision, it will just write 2. It will automatically approximate it. Well, when you put like 2 precision now, it will write 2.50. Like for example,
Okay,
now
sir.
your coordinate now, like for example, the coordinate that you send is so 0.00. After the point, the number of decimal places you see, that is the precision.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think that's answer your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In case of any other question, please you can send it as maybe on the group or so any other platform you can discuss on that. Okay. So this is the attribute information. Okay. Now, so I'll go back to my QGIS. So I'll share the QGIS again. I'll share the QGIS. All right, so you are seeing QGIS. Now, I saw one of your assignments, and then one of these assignments, I said that we should change the color of our layer, okay? And then I saw some of you changing the color of the background of your workspace instead of changing the color of the layer itself, okay? Now, you remember the other day when I digitized that KML file that we brought from Google Earth, I changed colors, which is part of the assignment I said we should do. So now, which is going to be working with the layers itself, you can be able to manipulate your layers, okay? Now, I can double click on this layer, which is cardinal site, and then change under the symbology. To remember the other day we did it, right? Click on symbology, and then click here. Under the field color, you can change the color to possibly blue. I click apply, and then I click OK. See that it changed, okay? Two of them change. So what I mean by changing the color for that assignment is to change the color of the layer, like it's not changing the background where you are working. Okay, please take note of that because I saw some of you changing your working background. Not that. Double click, I repeat again, double click on the layer, click on this simple field, then under the field color, change it to any color that you want. Okay, and then you click OK. I hope this answer your, I hope everybody understands this. Then another thing I did the other day was to make it transparent so that you can be able to see what is on the side, so that you will not just cover the whole place like this with this polygon or with this color. So how do I do that? I open my layer, okay, and then I'll click on this simple field. Then under the field color, now make it transparent. Then the outline color, now which is a stroke color, I can change it to any color I want. You can also increase the stroke width, that is the thickness of your line. Okay, by using the arrow up, arrow down. Arrow up, you are increasing it, arrow down, you are reducing it. and then I click OK. So you see two of them has changed. So you can be able to see what the place or the site that you are going to work on. Okay, all right. So we continue, and then the same thing, working on the layer again. Talking about working on the layer, I talk about changing the symbology, the colors and all that, and then I talk about labeling. Labeling means displaying information about that your layer. So now I'll click on label, and then on the top here, you see that there's no label. So I'll click on simple label. Then it displays for me what to fill. It says value to fill on is ID, which I don't want to fill with ID. If I fill with ID, it's going to number it just that one and two. But this one now, I can just fill it with site name. So that when you load it now, you're looking at your work immediately, you know which particular site. So I'll click on OK. So you see, we have the refinery, and then we have construction of 2-bedroom. Now I'll go back there again. There's something I do again the other day where I talk about applying the white color so that there will be clarity. So I'll click on buffer. That's under your text now. That is when you're under your label. I'll tick this buffer, and then I'll click OK. So you see that there's an outline so that you can be able to see what you should. So this is, you label it now based on the name of the site. Okay. Now you can decide to label it based on the name of the supervisor, the project supervisor. So I'll go back there again. Now, if I want to label it based on the project supervisor, now instead of using this site name, I'll click on this arrow, and then I'll click on site supervisor. And then I'll click on it, and then I'll click OK. So you see, it's now changed to the name, Mr. John and Mr. Abdul. They are the site supervisor of this particular project.